Can you see the PowerPoint? Great. So I just want to say that I'm going to just give some general updates, and then the second half will be directly related to a discussion on COVID and protocols and safety. So anyway, so I'll do half the presentation. I'll stop and see if there's any questions, and then I'll do the second half, which is the next item, 14.2. So I'm doing 14.1 and 14.2 right now. Okay. So just as was spoken before from CCEE, I really want to make sure that this year that there is alignment across the board in all that we do with addressing our LCAP goals. And so before my presentations, I just want to say that these are our goals as we head into this year. Again, all students will receive high quality education in a safe and welcoming environment with equitable high expectations. Goal 2, high quality, culturally proficient and responsive staff will provide engaging instruction, respectful of all students' backgrounds, and again, ensuring that they are prepared for college and career. And then last, ensuring that parents, family, and communities will be informed, engaged, and empowered as partners with the Mount Diablo Unified to support student learning. So just want to really just start on that. And then I know that this was brought up earlier as again that alignment with the SIR report and the SIR goals, how it aligns very nicely with our LCAP. And I really did like how Dr. Wheaton shared the different color schemes and why they were chosen and what they represent, and just want to really inform the board and staff and public who are watching that we get it, that there's a lot going on in our schools, but we can never lose focus on the academic achievement of all of our students, the social emotional learning that takes place, and ensuring that all of our students have the opportunities and the support to be college and career ready when they exit our organization. I'm going to continue to show this picture because I think it's incredible. And again, it's our kids, and they're just so creative, and this is why we do what we do. So just want to touch upon that. As we continue to start school, I just want to continue to bring people back to our website, that this is a place there's tremendous amount of information there. There's links to every single school. There's links to outside agencies. There's updates on our communications that we're sending out. And I just want to continue to talk about our website and where that should be a place if folks don't know where they can go for valuable information. I also want to give another plug for everyone signing up for Parent Square. We have a Friday letter that goes out every week that really does give updates and announcements of things that have taken place in the district for that week, and also things that will be coming up. And so just want to continue to encourage everyone to sign up for Parent Square, to read the Friday letter. Embedded in the Friday letter is the organizational update. So that's an update to the board from every department within the district, from our maintenance and operations to food service, to human resources, to the business department, C&I department, special ed. And so there's a lot of information in there. So I just want to continue to encourage folks to read that Friday letter and to gather information from that. School did start on August 12th, and I know there was a time when many thought that this day would not come. Back in the spring, Medea President Anita Johnson and I submitted a letter in partnership that we would work together to ensure that we were able to offer full-time instruction for all students. And that was, when we go back in time, that was the goal that our community was really pushing for. That's the goal that the state had, was to get our students back on campus full time. But if we ever thought for one moment that it was going to be easy or that things were just going to go back to normal, that was never, ever the case. We always knew that this would be an uphill battle. So we did open school. And I do want to acknowledge those who had a hand in that. Whenever I submit, most of the time when I submit pictures in my reports, I pull them off of our social media page, and so that way they've already been shared out publicly. But this was a picture of Mr. Bobby. He's the custodian at Sun Terrace Elementary, and I know whenever I visit Sun Terrace, I'm always amazed by the cleanliness and tidiness of that site, and it is a very diverse spaced site. They have gardens, they have blacktops, they have gyms, classrooms, all those types of things. And so I do want to acknowledge all of our classified staff who have been working tirelessly to over the summer and to help open up schools and to make sure that students and teachers and administrators had what they need to do the work that they do. So to all of our classified employees, hats off. And you just see the pride and the proudness that this individual has for the work that the important work that he does, and and working with our students and stakeholders. Again, just to see students on campus, this is Mount Diablo High, and just to see, students walking around. I think, Trustee and Zawi mentioned earlier about how kids are just wearing masks. And I know that's always a big concern, where the kid's going to wear masks, and, what sort of discipline were we going to do if they didn't wear masks? And that really, has not been an issue. And here, just right in the middle of this picture to the right, you see that high school student walking outside in the middle of this wearing his mask, right? And but again, just seeing students together and seeing them working, and another picture of students working in class, is just an incredible sight to see. Here's just another example. This is Mandarin being taught at Sequoia Elementary for one of our, international baccalaureate programs, that we're doing, and preparing students to be, really global thinkers, and to really have that global perspective. And so, very excited to see this as well. El Monte, who can, you got a learning environment right there outside. I know we talked about, when we were planning on reopening schools, we talked about utilizing our outside spaces. And I mean, here, there's no better example of that taking place than right here, where we have, a wonderful El Monte students in the gardens, working and learning. This is learning, right? This is just as important as students sitting in front of a computer or in front of a textbook. And I'm just really inspired by seeing this. Again, is just another picture, Wren Elementary. This is students getting lessons on their possibilities for instruments. This picture automatically brought me back to the 4th grade, when I came home with the trombone. And not to say that I played it very long, but I went to something very, very similar like this, and got presented the opportunity to play the trombone, and took advantage of that. And so I just see these kids, and just trying to put myself in their shoes, of the excitement that they must feel about seeing these instruments, and which ones they want to play and which ones they want to engage in. Just so thankful that we can offer programs like this within our district. Again, here goes the outside space being used. I mean, the picture on the left, you got kids again outside, and I know this was a big concern about were they going to wear their mask, but these kids don't look upset or whatnot. They look, they're going through regular rules or whatnot of the playground, and getting ready for PE. And I love this picture on the right of students utilizing those those different seats, and just outside, and again, taking advantage of our outside spaces for learning, and just very excited. again, here we go, kids working hard in class. It's not all fun and games. There is work involved. So here we have, very engaged students in class. And then, I think something that we all miss, students outside eating lunch. And I think this is just shows what we can, sometimes do with our outside spaces. So here you have kids eating at tables. We got new umbrellas out there at this site. Not saying that these are out at every single site, but every one of our sites are so different. They have different needs. And so we are trying to outfit our sites as quickly as possible and as best we can to really take advantage of those spaces. But geez, look at the faces on these kids, and seeing stuff like this really motivates me to continue to go through the struggles that we're going through now, so that we can keep our schools open, right? We never want to close our schools again. That's one of the worst things as a superintendent that we have to do, is when we have to, close our physical campuses. And so we want to keep our campuses open so that we can continue to serve our students. There has been a lot of talk about class size and whatnot. So I do want to just take a couple of minutes to visit that. These are our contractual class sizes for every grade level and every type of class within our district. And so this is something that has been bargained, negotiated with our labor partners over the years. I didn't negotiate these numbers. These numbers were established before my arrival, but these are our class numbers. And so, it is, due to equity, we need to balance out our classes, and it would be unfair for us to have some schools with, lower class sizes, other schools with higher class sizes. And so, this is our standard. And so, I'm committed to ensuring that the district is following contract language, and that we're, doing what we're supposed to do. And so these are our numbers. And so, I know some people may take issue with this, but in terms of social distancing, the reason we went to hybrid last year was because of social distancing mandates. And if it wasn't for social distancing mandates, we wouldn't have been in hybrid. That's why we had to, when we did reopen, that's why we could only offer a small fraction of our students the opportunities to come onto our campuses for a very small amount of time, was because of the physical distancing that was required. That said, CDC and the California Department of Public Health removed the indoor physical distancing requirements as long as everyone wore a mask in the class. So the mask is our COVID mitigation strategy, wearing the mask. So we can have kids together along with their teachers in a classroom if they're wearing masks. And so just want to really acknowledge that, bring that up. I know it's I know this might be different for some teachers or parents to experience, but this really is our contracted class sizes. Now, every year we go through our district, every district, around in California, I'll speak in the Bay Area or whatnot, we go through a period of balancing our classes at the beginning of the year. We have 18 days within our contract to balance out our classes. The Human Resources Department, directors of elementary ed, secondary ed, and our entire teams, administrators, have worked very hard to get a warm body count of the actual students who have shown up to school and shown up and enrolled in our programs. And so with that, we then have an 18-day grace period to adjust those classes. We worked tirelessly. We worked into the evenings, into the night, and we adjusted those those numbers in 9 days instead of the full 18 days. So I know, as some may be shocked that, after 10 days of school, we are shifting folks around. It is out of necessity. And this is, this is a notice that went out to all of our teachers. And yes, we need teachers at our independent study program. We've had families that have signed up. We have extended the deadline over and over to meet the needs of our families. So, we started taking signups back in spring. We continued signups over the summer. We continued signups before school started. We're still getting families who are enrolling into that program. Well, we have to have the staff to support those families. And I know that we have had folks in other positions stepping into those positions to help mitigate this and are working towards this. But we need teachers to step into these roles. They're following our kids from our district who are leaving their elementary schools for whatever reason and going into the independent study program. And so that has also created this need to shift staff around. And we are asking people to volunteer, but then if we don't have enough volunteers, then we do have contract language that allows us to involuntary transfer folks, or we give them a number of choices, right? You have a choice. You can go and teach in this program, you can teach in this program, or you can do, you can do this particular duty. So I sympathize. I understand how tough this is as a parent myself of 3 students and who've gone through this process during their years. I understand that. I think it's been said before that these are stressful times. I know everyone's feeling extra anxious. We don't want to close schools. We're concerned about health. We're concerned about academic achievement. We're concerned about connecting, all of those things. I acknowledge all of that. And so again, I know that we heard comments earlier about folks who were really upset about this, and I sympathize for you. I empathize for you. I share that in messages that I could respond, during the limited time that I do have to respond to those messages. I understand that, and but we need to continue to move forward with meeting the needs of all of our students. But I do acknowledge 100% that it is difficult and it is challenging. However, our students are very resilient, and we're going to continue regardless of who their teacher is. Our teachers and staff are going to continue to give them the care, the support, the guidance that they need to make school a safe and welcoming place where they can be successful. So I know that this is tough on many families and on some staff. I also just want to acknowledge that we have some neighbors up north, and I do participate in superintendent groups, and so I know superintendents whose districts and schools have burned down over the last couple of weeks, and we have challenges, but our schools are still standing. There's we want to be mindful to to our neighbors up north, and and keep our fingers crossed. But we do suffer from the air, just as everyone does, and we do have a scientific approach that we follow in the action plan in dealing with our air quality index. And so this is available on the front page of our website. I know that we have a large district, and I know that air quality can be slightly different in different communities, but we need government-based reliable metric to be able to measure air quality. And it's not a perfect science, but it's one of the mechanisms that we use. And so I just want to let everyone know that our MERV 13 filters that are used throughout the district do filter out the particles that are involved in the smoke that comes from these fires. So not only do they help with, with the COVID in the air and whatnot, the droplets, it also helps with the, with the fire. So So that is my general superintendent opening. I just want to acknowledge I was at many of the same things that many of our trustees were. The backpack giveaway from Office Depot, over at Meadow Homes. Not only did they give a backpack to every single student, they also adopted one of our very special teachers and gave that teacher, a whole just table full of Office Depot stuff, from laptop to chair to supplies and all kinds of stuff. And not only did every kid get a backpack, every kid got a $25 gift certificate that they could use at Office Depot. And the school is going to continue to receive donations from the local Office Depots that are taking place. So there was that. Trustee Mayo brought up the work that took place over at DVC with the robotics that was taking place. I too went and visited that program, talked to the kids, talked to our industry partners, talked to we had a teacher from Concord High over there teaching in the program, and incredible students, incredible program. And also I was there yesterday to celebrate with our interns, some who have gotten jobs and some who have graduated. I also had the opportunity to mentor one of our students, who's just a fabulous student who I'm going to continue to follow up with this year. She is a senior in our district, and so again, just want to acknowledge all the wonderful things that are happening. But I do want to say that these are challenging times. Everyone's stress level is very, very high, but we have to continue to put our best foot forward, continue to collaborate, continue to be empathetic of one another, and continue to move forward. So with that, any questions before I jump into COVID?
Thank you so much, Dr. Clark. Trustees, do you have any questions? I had just two. So one is, thank you for clarifying what's happening as far as staffing, because I think the message went to teachers, but I don't think there was a message that went from the district anyway to parents to explain what was happening. And so I think there was some confusion out there where parents thought teachers were being laid off and that we were suddenly doing layoffs and budget cuts right now. And so they were saying, what happened to the funding, for this year, and why are you making these cuts now? So I'm glad that you're able to clarify. This is not a layoff. It's not something where we're doing budget cuts right now. It is the regular rebalancing that happens in a normal year. I think the difference is that in some of our schools that have had in a normal year enrollment that's just exactly what they expect, they may not be used to the rebalancing that happens in some other places. In some of our schools in an area where people move in and out a lot more often, the rebalancing happens every year. So in those areas, they've seen this before. So I think it was a bit of a shock to parents in some of our communities that really have not experienced the rebalancing. But because of COVID and our changes in enrollment, and also our influx of enrollment into independent study, we do need teachers to follow where the students are from within our district, and we're just moving them in that way to be able to help all students. So thank you for clarifying that. One question that I did hear related to that as well is, when trying to fill these teacher needs that we have in our district that have come up more recently, such as independent study, did you look at teachers that are not in classroom positions, like teachers that might be intervention support or TOSA positions, to be able to move them into the positions instead of pulling a teacher from a classroom, and right, why or why not?
So again, we balance our classes. So if we have a class that has 19 students, then we're going to collapse that class So again, we have the space within our district. I showed you the class size. And so we have the space within our district. We've looked at every teacher we have in the district, whether there were teachers who were requesting accommodations or whether, there are teachers who are scheduled to be intervention teachers or whatnot. Again, we follow a contract. And so there's a very detailed process that has to go through this. So we don't have the authority or the power just to pluck teachers where we want and put them where we want. It has to go through a process. So we've exhausted, every way possible. We've asked for volunteers, signups, all of that, and so now we're at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. That's right. So the other pieces of the contract being seniority and other things that come into play. That's important for people to understand.
We're following the contract, and if we weren't following the contract, we would have to work to make sure that we were. And so again, it's a process that we have to follow.
And when you have students that are currently in independent study, and I know the state law says when they choose to go back to their classroom, like let's say, under 12s or get vaccinated, and then you have students that want to go back to the classroom, the state law says we have to do that within 5 days. So when you are balancing the classes and making those calculations, are you taking into account the numbers of students in independent study and where they came from so that they will be able to move back when that happens during the year?
Yeah, and of course the law says that we just have to offer them a space in the district. We're going to make every effort to make sure that they go back to their home school or to the school that they're attending, because some of our students are on transfers or whatnot. So every effort will be made for that. But again, we can't promise every family, and they all know that going into as they sign those papers to enroll in independent study, they understand that.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, just on the AQI, I know we've had that question about they're not, some people use the purple air sensors and they're all over the place, and we're using the air now, which is also the same sensor that you see if you go to the Bay Area Air Quality Management District. And I understand what you're saying about we actually need to use the government system, which would be Bay Area Quality Management District, which AIR now also points to. So I think if parents want in the future for us to be able to have more sensors that the school district uses when we make these calculations, it seems to me that we could all advocate asking Bay Area Air Quality Management District to place more sensors in our area beyond what exists right now, because smoke days aren't going to go away. This is something we're going to need to continue monitoring over time. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we understand that it's not an exact science, but it does give us a gauge. And whether or not it's, a 5-point different, a 10-point different, or something like that, we're also going to rely on our staff who are out at the school sites to let us know what's going on. And again, our choices is to have limited outdoor activities, to shelter in place, or to send everybody home. I mean, those are basically our 3 options. And so there's a wide, those look very different. And so if we ever got to the point where it's, like how Lake Tahoe is right now, we're all going to know that. And there's not going to be a difference between Concord and Pleasant Hill. We're going to be, socked in by smoke, and we will respond appropriately. So yes, we need more sensors, but we also just can't rely on every website that's out there and things of that nature. So again, we're doing the best we can. This is probably the 5th year that we've been dealing with smoke in the Bay Area, and again, it's unfortunate, but it does appear to be our new reality.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I think that's all the questions.
Oh, okay, all right.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So again, I want to talk about COVID. I don't have a great deal of new information, because the guidance and the protocols we've been dealing with them for the last 17, 18 months. So I'll do the best I can here. But I also, again, just want to acknowledge that everyone's affected by this. There's no one who's not affected one way or another, and everyone's been impacted. And safety is our top priority. So again, I understand when people get upset, they want to, they tend to communicate out or maybe show more emotion than what they would show. I totally understand that, and I want to acknowledge that there's high levels of anxiety everywhere, and we're all feeling it, right? And so just really want to acknowledge that this is a challenging situation. So these are the areas, right? Our main mitigation factor is masking, physical distancing, sanitation, contact tracing, quarantine, and testing options. And I will talk about each of those. So masks are required indoor, all staff. And I know there's still a debate statewide whether or not schools should mandate masks or whether it should be a choice or whatnot. We're not there. We believe that we're safer for ourselves and for our neighbors and for our colleagues and peers if we all wear masks. And so masks are required at all times indoors when around other people. And our staff and students and visitors have abided by this. And I just want to just hats off to the masks. We still have over 1 million masks. So if anyone needs masks, we have plenty of masks to give, and we will continue to provide masks for those that break or those who forget them. So masks are our big thing. I know the debate comes to outdoors, and the debate also comes to the limited number of volunteers that we have who come onto our campuses for one reason or another, if or not they are masked. Again, we don't have a mandate that everyone who steps onto our campus outdoors and who's not an employee is going to be masked. Definitely anyone who steps inside is going to have to be masked. But we would like folks to wear masks when they come onto our campuses. And again, I know it's tough. Staff is already stretched, and so I'm not going to have staff out in the pickup lines or when parents are walking to campus to pick up their kids, chasing people down to put on a mask. I don't want to put people in that position, but we are asking that people be respectful and wear masks when around other people. So that's our number one mitigation factor, is the mask wearing. And we've been I give us an A in that area. The other thing is that comes up a lot is around lunch and recess. This is verbatim from the California Department of Public Health guidance. This is what we follow. And it says, maximize physical distance as much as possible while eating, especially indoors, right? So if students are indoors in the multi-purpose rooms and classrooms and other spaces indoors, we should maximize eating spaces. Then use additional spaces outside of the cafeteria. And I think we saw that in the picture from Gregory Gardens, right? That kids didn't used to eat there, right? So now we have kids eating everywhere. There's kids eating, at lunch tables outside. There are some kids eating in the cafeterias. There's kids eating in hallways. There's kids eating under the solar panels. There's kids eating out on the fields. We're maximizing that space. But there is no specific guidance that says they have to be 1 foot apart, 3 feet apart, 6 feet apart. It says maximize, do the best you can. Use additional spaces outside of the cafeteria for mealtime seating, such as classrooms or the gymnasiums, can help facilitate distancing. Arrange for eating outdoors as much as feasible. So that's what we're trying to do. I know then we get the smoke, and I know that creates other challenges. And so, I'm just going to say, it's going to be real hard to meet the needs of everyone, right? Because we're just in challenging times. But this is direct from the guidance of lunch and recess. So there's not much more I can add there. But again, I'm presenting this, and I'm going to open it up to questions to the board when I'm done. The majority of our office staff, administrators, district office staff, we've been working on contact tracing. And we knew this was coming. as other districts opened up, before we opened up, there was, we were warned, hey, you're going to spend a lot of time contact tracing, so prepare yourselves for that. And so principals, office managers, sub administrators who are on sites to give extra support, nurses, it's all hands on deck doing the contact tracing. And that's another mitigating factor. The reason why we quarantine and contact trace is so that we can stop the spread when there's a positive case. And so again, this is directly from the guidance. We have to report all cases to the health department. I know there's been some talk out there like we're underreporting cases. We're not underreporting cases. We can only report what we can verify. And so we're verifying it. So if someone puts on Facebook that someone is positive COVID, we are not reporting that to the health department. But when we get a positive test, we're reporting that to the health department. We are relying on families to share information with us when need be, and we're taking them at their word. We are doing our own testing. I'll talk about that in the next slide, but we're spending a lot of time contact tracing, and we're going to continue to because that is one of our mitigation strategies. And again, I kept this blurry on purpose. If you want a clean copy, I see you, Trustee McFerrin, trying to look. The glasses aren't going to help on this, but because if we start going down this rabbit hole here, I'm going to lose the whole meeting. We'll be here all night. But it is confusing, right? You have kids who are vaccinated, kids who aren't vaccinated, right? And I know only kids over 12 can even be vaccinated. And so there's specific guidance and steps that have to be followed if someone's vaccinated versus if someone is not vaccinated. If they were just exposed to someone, was in the same room with the positive case, or if they had a close contact. All of that is very confusing. I understand why parents and staff are so frustrated around this, because if you're a parent and you have a high school student, a middle school student, and an elementary student, they all could be having to quarantine for completely different reasons, right? And that's frustrating, and we get it. We're doing the best we can. I just got an email from the county office today that they're ramping up their training so that we can continue to train our contact tracers. We trained our contact tracers last year. We had staff that was ready for this, but this is a whole new ball game as we brought everyone back onto campus. And so we are working on the contact tracing. We have this on our website, as well as kind of like a translated version that goes with it, that really breaks down each box and each steps. But again, it's confusing, and I want to acknowledge that, and it's frustrating, and I want to acknowledge that. But again, we're trying to do the best we can to keep our schools open, because that is what the goal is to keep our students on campus with the caring adults. Testing. I think it was shared earlier, there's some districts that, haven't even started their testing. There's some districts that, that are still figuring this out. We started with the first couple of days of school. We started with just our having 3 sites open. After we had 300 people show up to the first site, we immediately went to Plan B, and Plan B was, I think we have between 13 to 16 sites set up just to test the process. On Monday, I went online, I re-entered all my information, I printed out a form, I filled it out, I just picked a random school that was doing testing that day. I went after school, turned in my papers, got the test, took the test, got my results in 30 hours. So 30 hours is a pretty good turnaround. That's we're hearing, I think it's getting better, but there were stories at the beginning of the year that it was taken in some of folks' own doctors and hospitals or whatnot, it was taken up to 4 days. So 30 hours is great. We have a pretty seamless process out. Of course, we've had to pivot. We had to provide signage where we have nurses that come out from this company and do the testing, but we have also been paying our employees to help manage the lines, manage the forms, things to that nature. Folks are stepping up outside their work days to timesheet and to do this. And so we do have a testing program in place. And again, 30 hours is a good turnaround for free testing. vaccinations. So I shared this slide last week or at the last meeting on August 11th, and you could see, out of 2,069 employees, we had a 94% vaccination rate. We have all of our, we have our different groups here, and I have the next slide is going to be what it was today. So let's remember these numbers. Let's remember 2,069 and 94%. So as we go in today, we're at 2,330 employees, and we're still at 94%, but you can really see the difference of the individual groups. Are just slight differences. So again, managers went down, some went up, but the average still comes out to 94%. So as we are working through the process, we have until October 15th to ensure that we have a system in place that either those employees who aren't vaccinated, that they get vaccinated, or that they adhere to weekly regular testing. And so we're in the process of working that out and seeing exactly how that's going to look and how we're going to deliver that. So going back to my, to my original sort of slides, this is what we are doing to, to keep everyone safe in this world of COVID. So with that, I'll open it up to questions from the trustees.
Trustees, questions?
I have one.
Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Clark, you didn't mention the dashboard.